You are listening to Productivity Straight Talk with your host, Amber De La Garza. She is passionate, direct, and sometimes a little sarcastic, but always gives you what you need to succeed in business. Now, here's your host, Amber De La Garza, the Productivity Specialist.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to Productivity Straight Talk. Because of recent events in the U.S., including the devastating hurricanes and the largest mass shooting of modern times occurring in my hometown and community of Las Vegas this week, well, as of this recording, I've decided that this podcast is not going to be about productivity, but about a more personal topic I feel is of the utmost importance, especially when faced with difficult times, and that topic is self-care. Today is episode 23, the practice of guilt-free self-care. If you are an entrepreneur who wants to take consistent, massive, focused action in your business and life, then this is the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. Today's episode, as you can tell already if you're a repeat listener, is going to be a bit different. And if you're new to the show, I hope you'll stick with me here. While our episode today is not going to be about productivity or growing our business, it is about a topic that I feel is very much needed. So in today's episode, I'm going to share with you why it's necessary to indulge in self-care even when it doesn't seem feasible, the two types of self-care you should unselfishly practice, ways you can ensure your self-care needs are met, and so much more. So let's dive right in and get straight to it. I'm going to begin with a personal, heartfelt Facebook post that I posted on October 5th, just 4 days after the mass shooting in Las Vegas. I've been in California for a work event for the past 3 days. I drove down 5 hours by myself on Tuesday so I could have quiet time to reflect. When I arrived, I was still processing, quiet, and not very interactive with those I came so far to be with. Those closest to me noticed a huge difference in how I was showing up. That certainly gave me some more to think about, as I had felt the joy was taken from me. It was in that moment of reflection that I realized that no one can take our joy. We choose to give it to them. And today, I am choosing not to give my joy away. Yesterday was exactly what I needed. I spent the day with clients, old friends, new friends, walking on the beach at sunrise, laughing, masterminding, goal setting, strategizing, planning, eating, drinking, and creating our vision boards for 2018. Self-care is essential, and I didn't always understand that. The older I get, the closer I get to what I need. I have gone to bed early at 8:30 p.m. without guilt, had meaningful conversations with dear friends, gone on a walk on the beach, driven solo for 5+ hours to clear my head, and ate a lot of chocolate. I urge you that if you need it, to stop and take care of yourself so that you can take care of others. Once I got out of my own head and looked around, I realized I was not alone and that many who are around me are feeling very similar. Everyone will process what happened in Las Vegas differently, and that is okay. Some will be numb, angry, sad, feel nothing, feel everything, feel alone, need to be with people, want to be alone, want to help others, and simply don't understand how you feel. All of that is okay. I want you to honor how you feel. Even by asking yourself how you feel could be all that you need to move through this. I write this with love and gratitude. It was that post that I felt the need to write in the week of the tragedy here in Las Vegas that sparked this topic and this idea of the need for self-care. I had reflected on the need for self-care when maybe it looked a little selfish that I left town and that I was walking on the beach or laughing with friends or having a glass of wine. But the truth is that that's what I needed to move through the feelings that I was feeling, and that that's okay. And others are going to feel it completely different and need something completely different to process what happened. Self-care is something we know we need to practice, but spend little time doing because we feel guilty about taking care of ourselves when so many other people, children, duties, tasks, all need our attention. We, as hardworking entrepreneurs, may also feel like we never have time to practice self-care. Many of you are frantically operating in survival mode because you have said yes to way too many things and therefore have no time for self-care. I am telling you, something has to change. If you are consistently telling yourself that you do not have time for self-care, you have to make the conscious choice because investing in yourself is the best investment. I am telling you here today that you have to take the time to indulge in yourself, in your health, in your mind, in your heart, and in your soul. Not just in your business and not just in other people. Now, you may not have been personally affected by the recent tragedies in the States, but it's likely that you're facing something big. We're all facing something, be it divorce, parents aging, sick children, financial hardship, career uncertainty, or health issues. The list is endless, and many of us are affected by circumstances that are out of our control. It's during the difficult times that we tend to check out, just go through the motions of life, throw focus on everything else, or totally dive into our work just to push through it full steam ahead. But the go-go lifestyle isn't sustainable and you'll eventually burn out. Are you ready for this? I am here to tell you that self-care is not selfish. It is not a guilty pleasure, not at all. And today I want to give you the green light to spend time, lots of time, taking care of yourself. It's mandatory. It's like the saying goes, putting the oxygen mask on yourself before you can help others. The truth is that we have to take care of ourselves to be the best people that we can be. If you're looking for a new affirmation, you can take one of mine. And my affirmation is, I invest in myself because the return on investment is priceless. I invest in myself because the ROI is priceless. Isn't it so easy to recognize when someone else is not taking care of themselves? Like clearly you can tell that someone in your life needs more sleep or exercise or rest or just going way too fast. But why is it so hard for us to recognize it in ourselves? Sometimes we're the last to know that it's us that needs that self-care. And you know what? I have been guilty of this so many times in my life. What I know is that if I ignore the signs of needing self-care, life has a way of getting your attention. I was so sick and tired, like literally sick and tired. There's been times in my life when I have just gone and grinded and done what it took to take care of my family and responsibilities and business and did not take the time for the maintenance self-care that was needed. And in those times, I'm able to clearly look back and see that I was sick and I didn't need to be sick. I was tired, exhausted, day in and day out, and I didn't need to be. In the past 3 years, I have had 2 sinus surgeries and countless sinus infections. In fact, in the first 2 years, I was diagnosed with nearly 30 sinus infections, on and off medications and steroids and sprays and allergists and going in and out of doctors and specialists, and no one could help me. Nobody was able to fix it. And I know that now, after doing my own research and getting really clear about what it was and what was going on, is that I was ignoring some really big signs of things that were affecting me: my diet, exercise, stress. And I was trying to fix it with Band-Aids because I was too busy for self-care. When in reality, if I had just invested all that time that I was at the doctor's and researching why I was sick, but invested it in myself and self-care, perhaps I would not have been as sick as often or as much. I had allergies. I had been told for every reason under the rainbow, but yet nothing was fixing it. Until I took it into my own hands at the end of this April, and I stopped all dairy, all gluten, and all caffeine. And when I did that, I saw almost an immediate effect on my energy level and subsequently the way that I felt. I have not been like sick, not a cold, not a flu, like literally not sick since I started eating this way. And so I know that I'm sharing this with you because, while it might not be your diet, what is it that you can do to invest in yourself that would gain you the results of self-care so you can invest in your business and in your life and show up? Another way that we can have self-care is to say no. I mean, really saying no. Oftentimes we find ourselves overcommitted and no time. Like, we're telling ourselves we have no time, but the truth is we do have the time. And I truly, truly believe that we have time for what we make most important to us. And if you are saying yes to everything, you're saying no to yourself. So while I'm urging you for self-care, if you have beliefs that are limiting you to take care of yourself, are there actions that you can take that will give you the time that you need to now invest in yourself? All right, I'm going to jump into the two types of self-care. There's routine self-care and radical self-care. Up until this point, I'm talking about specifically, well, in my example in my Facebook post, it was like radical self-care in reaction to how I was feeling and processing what the shooting that had happened in my community. But it also brought up the point that regular, consistent, daily routines of self-care will keep me not sick, keep my energy levels high, keep me more productive, keep me focused and level-headed. So routine self-care is like getting enough sleep, eating healthy, fuel your body and provide it with the energy and nutrients it needs to be at peak performance. Exercise, spike your endorphins and enhance your mood while keeping you fit so you feel better physically, like hiking and yoga and walking. Do something for yourself that has nothing to do with work. Read a book, go to a movie, get a massage, get your nails done. Buy something that you've had your eye on for a while just to treat yourself. Maybe it's a scenic drive just by yourself to clear your head. One of my self-care routines is to spend time with friends. I feel fueled and re-energized when I have quality time with my good friends. Another way in which I recently took self-care into action was attending a women's retreat. And that was about 3 weeks ago. It was before the event here in Las Vegas. And I went up there with a very dear friend of mine to Zion. And we went on a 3-day retreat. And this was the first trip that I had ever experienced like this. But it wasn't exactly an easy decision to make or an easy trip to take. I have been working through my own thoughts of, do I take a trip? It's not work related. I'm not going with my family. Do I spend the money? Do I spend the time? I've been traveling a ton. My emails are backed up. My task list is longer than I like to have it. Like, all of these bubbling thoughts came up of why I shouldn't go on this trip. But the truth is that there was only one real reason that mattered, and that mattered was that I deserved it, that I needed it, that I knew I had to refuel myself so that I could show up in a different way in my life and in my business and as being a mom and a business owner and a wife. I just needed me time. I needed to connect with a very dear friend. I needed quiet time, and I needed to try new things like repaneling, just to say that I could do it. I'm telling you this story only to share with you that even when it doesn't seem like it's the easy decision, you need to prioritize self-care into your life. The other way in which I have recently practiced self-care, and again, I'm telling you this so that maybe you can learn through my story and see similarities in your life, is saying no. Saying no can be very difficult for a lot of people. I teach this and I walk it, and I try to walk it as often and as consistently as possible. But here's what I have to say about saying no. It's more important that you say no, not in how you say it. So let me clarify that, because that could be totally confusing. Many of us believe that saying no needs to sound like this: no, and then dead silence. Now, that is how my husband would say it. He can say no with no reasoning, no explanation, no further interaction, that if he just doesn't want to do something, it's no. And for me, that does not resonate with me. It doesn't feel comfortable. I don't like it. And so my no's sound very differently than my husband's no's. But what you have to be clear about is that your no is a definitive no. Because if you back your no up with reasoning, sometimes you're opening yourself up to be negotiated with because you don't look or sound as if your no is truly a no. And so I urge you to explore your way in which you feel comfortable saying no, but to also be decisive and clear with that what you're saying is no. I recently had to say no to something that meant a lot to me. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot. I have served on my local National Speakers Association board of directors for the last 4 years. And I was in line to be president this coming year when I have made the decision that I needed to resign. I served 4 years, and based on my progression onto the board, I had 3 more years. So I was president-elect currently, then president, and then immediate past president. This decision is very fresh for me as I made it only about a week ago as of this recording. And so I can share with you that I totally understand that saying no does not always feel good in the moment. But because I'm on the other side of it, I can tell you that it does feel good once you've made that decision and speak in your truth. The truth is that I was literally sick to my stomach thinking about having to resign, like throwing up sick to my stomach. I didn't know what people would think. I didn't know what they said. I didn't want to anger people. I didn't want to disappoint people. I questioned what kind of leader quits, what kind of leader says that they're going to do something and doesn't do it. And those are all valid questions. And the fact is, I probably did piss off some people. I probably did disappoint some people. But the truth is that I had to say no because taking care of myself, self-care, my family, and the priorities of my business were my first top priorities. I had come to a point where I was feeling stressed and not filled up with my service on the board, that my responsibilities were creeping in on my ability to show up with my family and to show up in my business. I'm not saying that self-care is always easy, but I can tell you the truth, that I nearly backed out of saying no. But I didn't want to burn out. I wanted to choose to leave on my own terms. I wanted to leave on terms that I felt like I could leave with my head up. And so once I made that decision, I can tell you that I honestly woke up the next morning after I announced it and felt like I could just levitate off of my bed. Like I was so less stressed. I was so relieved that I had made this decision and I was moving through that. And that, all of that, was a reflection of self-care. For no other reason, because I had every reason in the world to stay. I have some of my best friends in this association. I have been served by many before me, and all of those could have been the reasons why I didn't put myself first, but I had to. And I'm telling you this so that you put yourself first. Do you have a similar story or circumstance or situation where you said yes to something and it served you well, but now because of changed priorities and responsibilities or goals that it no longer serves you the same way that it once did? Saying no is self-care. The truth is that while I was waffling back and forth, should I do it, should I not do it, that I consulted with some very dear friends and my husband. And what they all had to say was that while you have all these reasons why you should or shouldn't, there was only one reason that mattered. And that reason was that you needed to do it for you and that was enough. And I'm telling you that that's enough a reason for you too. What can you say no to that will open up space on your schedule so that you can take care of yourself? So that you can invest in yourself? Because the return on investment is priceless. And while we're not talking about productivity today, and we're not talking about growing our businesses, who you are personally is who you show up in your business. If you have goals or ambitions to be a better spouse or a better parent or a better business owner or a community member, you have to invest in yourself first. The second type of self-care is radical self-care. Radical self-care is realizing your self-care needs to have temporary change after a life event or through a circumstance, and then acting accordingly to take the proper care of yourself. The radical self-care that I'm talking about, or for example, is how I chose to make one consistent decision after another for self-care in this last week after processing my feelings and emotions after this mass shooting. That was an acute need for more self-care than what my daily routine has for me. When you're faced with stressful circumstances or traumatic events, your self-care needs are different. Your need to give yourself more grace and meet yourself where you're at. Ask yourself, what would be the best thing for you to do for yourself right now? Only you can answer that. So ask yourself, what is it that I need right now to be my best self? Give yourself permission, because self-care is not something that you can sweep under the rug in hopes that it will go away. If it's not prioritized, life has a way of prioritizing it for you. I've seen it time and time again in my life, in my clients' lives, and you know what I'm talking about. In times of high stress or lack of investing in ourselves, we do get sick. And whether you schedule the time to take care of yourself in a positive way, or life schedules the time for you where you're laid out sick in your bed or at the doctor's office, your body will pause itself because it's in survival mode, and it will do what it needs to do to take care of itself. Now, while we're talking about self-care, I need to caution you to be sure that the self-care you choose is truly self-care, and it's not just you checking out of life. Be careful not to overindulge in the things that really don't make you feel better, like heavy drinking, eating food that makes you feel like crap, or staying up all night binging on Netflix and not getting the sleep you need. Those are some popular go-to ways in which people feel like they're indulging and taking care of themselves because they're checking out. But the truth is that is not investing in yourself. The kind of self-care I'm talking about are the activities that fuel you and allow you to come back from the stressful circumstances stronger, healthier, and more focused. I recently had a client that was losing his father, and this was certainly a very stressful situation for him and his family and all the dynamics that go on with losing one of your parents. He was dealing with this for a few months before his father ultimately passed away. And during this time, our focus, maybe it was more my focus and he jumped on the bandwagon being that was his focus, was self-care. In these times of crises or circumstances, or when life throws us something that's unexpected, it's not the time to drive your business and grow it rapidly or, aggressively go after these goals. It's a time for self-care. It's a time for maintenance. I didn't want him to have guilt about his work, about his growing business, about returning the never-ending voicemail messages and emails. His sole goal and focus was to ensure he kept himself accountable to his self-care routine. If he had stopped taking care of himself in this situation, not only would it affect his business, but it would affect his mindset. And well, you know how I feel about that. Mindset is of the utmost importance. He had recently made some big progress with his health, and I didn't want him to lose that momentum and the habit of investing in himself during this stressful time in his life. The truth is that most of us don't have somebody cheering us on to go do self-care, to take care of you first. Today, I hope that I can be that person for you. The truth is that I personally never saw great examples of self-care as a child. I was personally told and exampled that those actions and activities were selfish. I am here to tell you that I have worked through all of my shit, meaning my beliefs around this, so that I could be here today to tell you that it's okay to do you. It truly is. It's okay to do you. And you know what? It's more than okay to do you. You deserve to do you. And the people around you and your business deserve you to do you. Doing you is an investment so that you can help more people be a better spouse, husband, wife, mother, father, sister, brother, entrepreneur, volunteer, leader, and person. Self-care is taking care of you in whatever manner will help you operate at your best over the long haul. So pay attention to what you need. Give yourself permission and grace, especially when life throws you those gigantic curveballs that we all experience. So I am urging you to not only have your regular routine of self-care, but to be open and hearing when you need a little bit more. And self-care to me is different than the self-care that you need. And only you know what that self-care is. And I guarantee that if we all invest in ourselves, we will have so much more to invest in others. And really, as entrepreneurs, isn't that what we're doing? Aren't we doing what we do because we're investing to help others? Whether it's a product or a service, you do what you do to help others. And if you keep pouring into your business and others, there is a time where you'll have no more to pour out. And you'll burn and you'll burn out, and you may even burn out wanting to be an entrepreneur or a business owner. So self-care truly is the key to showing up in life at a higher level. And that message that I'm sharing with you is as much for myself as it is for you. But I truly felt that this episode was needed, because if I would have stumbled upon this episode in many times of my life, I think that it was going to be exactly what I needed to hear. And while we know it, and perhaps this isn't anything new, sometimes we need to hear it. And sometimes we need to feel like somebody is talking directly to us so that we make that change in our lives. What I know for sure is that one of the reasons that I was so upset with what happened is just a reflection of life is so short. I was at a concert Friday night, not the same concert. The shooting was on Sunday, and I was at a concert with my husband and our best friends Friday night. And it was an outdoor venue, and we had hotels and casinos circling us. And the truth is it could have been us. It could have been anyone. And so in the pursuit of wanting to grow our businesses and be better people, you've got to know that life is too short not to take care of ourselves. The grind and the hustle, that's not what life is about. It's about enjoying the journey. And I think that all of us can enjoy that journey much more if we take a time out to invest in ourselves. Why I have loved having you listen to this special episode of Productivity Straight Talk, I need to be straight with you. No change, no change. Without taking action, nothing will change for you or your business. So based on what you heard me share with you today, what are you willing to take action on? What is that level of self-care that you've been putting off, that you've meant to do, that you haven't done yet? Are you committed to changing that for yourself today? I hope you are. And if this episode has touched you, helped you, or could help others, share it. And if you want to share what your actionables are and how this may have affected you, what your goals are moving forward with self-care, I would love for you to join us in our private free Facebook community. And you can join us by going to productivitycommunity.com. Just go to productivitycommunity.com, put in your name and email address. I'll send you a personal link invitation. And that is where like-minded entrepreneurs just like you and I meet and help and support each other with our goals and actionables to be more productive and more profitable. So that's my straight talk for you today. And again, if this is your first episode of listening to Productivity Straight Talk, I sure hope that you'll go back into the library and listen to a few of the other episodes or hang with me. I'll be dropping another episode as I always do every Monday. And until next time, have a productive week.